Good morning, mamas. Happy Monday. It is Monday again. Can you believe it? I know. It's funny. It's like during the weekend I almost feel like it's all Saturday. And then I wake up and it's Monday. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the whole weekend kind of merges into like Saturday. And I realize that no wait, it's Sunday. No wait, it's Monday. It's this weird thing. I don't know. I don't know if that happens to you. It just feels like the weekend is one big long day, and it's not long enough. I channel I channel Downton Abbey. Um, when the Dowager Duchess asks, what is a weekend? Because sometimes it feels like there isn't one. And right now, like I'm super busy trying to get ready for the new semester that starts on Wednesday, serving all of the folks in bookkeeper training school. We have over 330 people in bookkeeper training school now. And then also trying to wrap up tax season. So I have a lot of balls in the air right now. And I get this question a lot from my students in bookkeeper training school. It's like, how do you decide once we've done a lot of work here and in the group on carving out the time to work on your business. So what happened, like, what do you do when you sit down at your desk, right? Because I think most of us, we don't have a plan, right? We come from that world where you at one point probably had a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 5 or whatever your hours are that required seat time, right? And you just sat there and you filled that seat time with whatever it is you could find to do. And one of the hardest transitions, I think, going from being employed by somebody else to being self-employed, is making that transition from just filling time in a seat to getting as much done as you possibly can so you can get out of the seat, right? Because I think, like, as a small business owner, I know a lot of you are doing this because you want more freedom, you want more flexibility, you don't want to be chained to a desk all the time. I know a lot of the people in bookkeeper training school, they're doing this because they don't want their kids in daycare, or they want more time with their families. And so if you're just trading a desk outside your home for a desk inside your home, it's not going to make the kind of radical shift that you want in your life. And so what I'm saying is that we really have to figure out when we're going to be at our desk. And then once we get that time carved out, what are we going to do to make it meaningful and impactful? Because if we slip back into our old ways, we're just going to sit there and say, okay, I'm working, right? In air quotes, I'm filling the time, but it's not meaningful time, and I'm not making the kind of money I want to, and I don't understand why. Okay, so if you're in that position, that's what we're going to talk about today. So you've carved out whatever time you have, right? So I think that's the important part. If you don't know how many hours a week you have to work on your business, that's where you need to start. Okay, and one of the things that we do in bookkeeper training school is I have all of our students very early on in the course just add up the time that it takes them to get everything done that they need to get done. Okay, so we all have 168 hours in the week. Okay, we all do, right? We all have 168 hours in the week. And in that 168 hours, you're going to sleep, you're going to shower and get ready, you're going to eat, you're going to get your kids ready. You're probably gonna clean up the house a little bit. You're gonna do other chores. You're gonna, many of you are gonna be doing homeschooling, or some sort of aided remote learning. So you have to sit down and say, okay, what do I have to do in all these these hours, so I know how many hours I have to actually work in my business. Now, the way that we do it in our house, we're very intentional about it. So, some of you already know this because I've talked about this before. What we do in our house is Jeff and I split the day, which means that up until 11:30 in the morning, Jeff watches Eric. Now we all have breakfast together and we play a little bit in the morning, and until 11:30, Jeff watches Eric, and then after 11:30, I watch Eric until dinner time. So, but the way that we scheduled it that way because Eric usually naps in the afternoon. So what I do is I work whenever I get to my desk, which it's been a little hairy, but whenever I get to my desk until like 11:30, which is why I do these lives when I do, because it's kind of the last thing I do before I wrap up my morning. I get to work, okay? And then I have lunch with Eric. We do cuddles. We do story time. I put him down for a nap. I might go downstairs and just kind of clean up a little bit in case Eric doesn't go back to sleep. And then around like 12:30-ish, I'll come back upstairs and I'll work until Eric wakes up, which typically Eric will sleep until about 2:30, 3 o'clock. Okay, so it gives me a couple more hours, and then Jeff gets to work all afternoon. When Eric wakes up, we go downstairs, we play, we do some educational stuff, and then I start to make dinner probably around like 4, depending on what we're eating. So that's kind of what the day looks like. So I have typically a block in the morning and a block in the afternoon, unless Eric doesn't sleep. Now, unless I have a plan for that time, right? So unless I say like, okay, what am I going to do this morning? What am I going to do this afternoon? Then I will sit at my desk. I will play on Facebook. I will play in my email. I will look at facts and figures and and I just won't do anything that's actually moving our businesses forward. Okay. So, this is what I do. Okay. I always try to focus on one of two things. Okay. And it really depends on the amount of work I have in the office, right? And the number of clients or the number of customers I'm trying to acquire. Okay, those are like the two considerations I have. So, if I have a lot of work in the office, then it's always going to skew more towards getting client work done, okay? Or getting products developed, okay? So that's number one, right? Is client work, whatever that looks like for you. So for some of you, client work or customer work is creating your products, right? Or it's improving your products. For some of you, that are service providers like my bookkeepers, I know a lot of virtual assistants and online business managers follow my page. You providing those services to your clients, right? So that's a critical part of what you do. And then the other piece of that, especially if you're really new to this, the other piece of this is marketing and spending a lot of time on marketing. And I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. In order to acquire new clients, you need to make 7 to 20 touches. Think about that, 7 to 20 touches. And we see that, I see that in my research when I acquire new clients in my accounting firm, when we acquire new customers for bookkeeper training school. I see this in my clients. We're always sitting there kind of looking and say, okay, where are these touches happening? And they don't have to be formal conversations. They don't have to be where you're picking up the phone, but they have to be. That's why it's critical to get people onto your social media. It's critical to get people onto an email list. It's critical to be doing live content and posting regularly on social media, because those are all little touches. Okay. And so and those direct interactions can really help too, right? You commenting on their stuff on social media, you interacting with them on social media or in groups that you're both in. critically important to create those opportunities where they go, oh yeah, I remember that person. Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay. So, it's really funny because, we kind of go through like every couple weeks, I think in bookkeeper training school, we kind of talk about the stuff that you could be doing for marketing um, in that time that you set aside. And I think that um, it is it's critically important that you generate that list of these are the activities that I'm going to do when I'm networking, right? Whether it's online or in person or however you're doing it, but that you have this like list. So one thing that we're doing around here, and this is kind of a it's an ongoing process. It will never be over. But one thing that we're doing is we're generating standard operating procedures, SOPs, and we're generating these across our business. So these are a detailed step-by-step instruction for things that you do in your business. Okay, so for example, like if you are networking online, right? What does that look like? What are you actually doing? Because we talk about this all the time, right? You have to go networking online, but what does that actually look like? Like, what are the components? What are the pieces that you're going to do? Okay. So, in our business, there are two things that we really focus on above everything else. Okay. Customer work and experience and marketing. And if those are not the top two things that you are doing in your business, and we have a lot of students who come in to bookkeeper training school and they say, look, I'm just learning. I'm still in the education process. I'm not marketing yet. I'm not there. And I'm like, no, you need to be marketing from day one. Now, marketing is going to look a little bit different when you're first learning, okay? So marketing when you're first opening your business, like think about when, when a new business opens in your town, okay? If they're savvy, what are they going to do? They're going to announce that they're opening. They're going to announce they have their storefront. They're going to walk you through like the build out of their new store. They're going to walk you through, their new logo, their new Facebook page, right? They're going to walk you through all the things they're doing, new website. Virtual business owners don't do this. They don't do this well. If you're a service provider, okay, or you're learning to be a service provider, you need to be talking about your business from day one. I'm so excited because I am starting a new business and I'm going through this new training and I can't wait to share more details with you. When you get your LLC, share the name. When you get your logo, share the name. When you start up your Facebook page, share the page. Share all of the things. Good morning, Tammy. Share all of the things as if you're moving towards a grand opening, just like any other business. So don't tell me that if you're in the learning phase of your business that you can't start marketing. Okay, because you're going to have a grand opening just like every other business has. And service providers, for some reason, I don't know what the hang up is, but they don't do this. What service providers tend to do, and this is everybody, right? And I'll tell you, I did this when I first started my business. Okay, because I started my business so fast. But what most people do is they go through all the education, they build up all the stuff behind the scenes, and then one day they go, "Hi, I'm open," and then they expect clients to come, and they're like, "I don't understand why I don't have any clients on day like 1." Whereas my bookkeepers who are doing all the work in bookkeeper training school, right, we walk you through, getting your business name, registering your business properly, getting your EIN, getting your bank account, doing all of the things, right? And so you have the opportunity to walk people through your journey. Think about people that you follow online, right? You're following their journey. And I know that you followed new businesses through their journey. Okay? So what I tell my new bookkeepers is you're probably going to spend about 85% of your time on education, 80 to 85% of those hours that you figured out that you have. and then you're going to spend between 10 and 15% of your time on marketing. And that gives you another like little 5% to do administrative stuff. Now, when you're going through my course, I have a lot of the setup stuff and the administrative stuff like built into the course. So I kind of consider that part of the education. So, really, what you're doing is you're taking those steps and you're like, hey, I went to the bank today and opened my new business bank account. You know, the countdown is coming. We're almost here, right? You can post those on social media in that 10 to 15% of your time that you have. So, the way that we do is we kind of blend it together. And then what happens is as you finish the educational piece, then what you're going to do is if you don't have any clients at that point, which some of our people actually do, we have some people in bookkeeper training school that because they're doing all the marketing, right, as they're going along, they're not spending a ton of time on it, but they're spending a little bit of time and they're building up buzz, right? They're building up energy. So some of them actually like they get their QuickBooks certification and they have people waiting to be their clients, okay? And so if you have clients and your first priority is going to be that client work, okay, in those hours. But what's going to happen is that you're going to go from like 85% education to about 85% marketing, okay, minus any client work you have. And so what's going to happen is if 85% of your total time is working on clients and doing your marketing and about 15% is going to be admin, okay, then what's going to happen is as you get more clients, your marketing time is going to decrease, okay? But so 85% of that time in your business should really be serving your clients and marketing your business to acquire more. You always want to have some marketing time built in because you're going to have times when, when clients leave or, maybe you have like a really big job onboarding a client. Like we're finding that right now, right? It's August. It's the end of August. And so for a lot of bookkeepers who are being hired right now, they have to do catch-up work or cleanup work from January to August. And so what they're finding is it's a big job to do that. But then when that's over, they go back to the normal, the normal monthly work. And so, having those cleanup and catch-up jobs are really nice because it's a nice infusion of cash, right? To kind of, to get the job started. And then you go on the regular, the monthly maintenance. So, but you're always going to want to have a little bit of marketing because you don't want your marketing to completely die off. That's one thing that drives me crazy about some folks in the online space is that when they have a new book coming or a new product coming because all of a sudden they're back, right? And you don't want to be that person. You always want to be marketing, right, on a regular basis, even if it's just a couple posts a week, but just something so that people continue to see you, right? Because the way that the Facebook algorithm works is that if you don't post on a regular basis, people aren't going to see your posts. And so, it's amazing what we're seeing in our numbers, like me doing these lives twice a week on a regular basis, which that's all. Jennifer Allwood put out a challenge to do this, to go live twice a week. And so I've been trying to do this for this month. And it's amazing to see how much our numbers have grown. So, you want to make sure that even if you're not actively looking for clients, that you're still doing a little bit every single week just to keep your page active. Okay, so the two things that you need to be doing, right? Service for your clients, whatever that looks like for you. That might be building products, improving products, actually serving your clients in whatever it is that you do, or marketing. Okay, that needs to be about 85% of your time and really have a plan, right? So have a standard operating procedure for what marketing looks like for you. So are there particular groups that you're checking in with online? If there's a particular day that you can post about your business, have you identified some people that you think would be ideal clients? So maybe what you should do is go to their pages and look to see, is there something that you can share? Is there something that you can look at? I actually do that automatically by just indicating that I want to see those people first. so that they show up at the top of my feed when I'm doing my networking, and then I can just go through and interact. Okay, so I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that this gives you a little bit of direction for what to do when you get to your desk every day. Um, if you have any questions about this, please let me know. You can drop them in the comments here, or you can go to askkristen.net. That's Ask Kristen with 2 I's, and fill out the form there. And your question may end up being a Facebook Live or a podcast episode. Remember, we drop new podcast episodes every Tuesday morning. All right, mamas, thank you so much. I love spending this time with you every week. I will see you soon.